Dear viewers, sometimes life brings people together for reasons we can't explain. And sometimes a simple act of kindness uncovers a truth that changes everything. This is the story of a nurse named Sarah and a dying soldier whose final wish revealed a secret no one expected. It was 2:15 a.m. when Sarah walked into room 407 at St. Mary's Veterans Hospital. Another long night shift. Another patient fighting for his last breath. On the bed lay Private Daniel Brooks, a soldier in his late 20s. His body was weak, his eyes tired, but his spirit still strong. He'd been in a coma for weeks after returning from deployment overseas. That night, for the first time, he woke up. Where am I?" he whispered. Sarah leaned close. "You're safe, Daniel. You're at St. Mary's. You've been unconscious for a while." He blinked slowly, staring up at the ceiling. His voice trembled as he asked, "Am I dying?" Sarah hesitated. Then, softly, "We're doing everything we can." A silence filled the room. Then he smiled faintly and said something that sent chills down her spine. "I just want one last thing before I go." Sarah pulled up a chair beside him. "What's your wish, Daniel?" she asked gently. He turned his head toward the window, where the moonlight cut through the rain. "There's someone I need to see," he said weakly. "Someone I hurt. Her name's Lily." He coughed, his voice cracking. "We fought before I left for the Army. I told her I never wanted to see her again, but I never meant it." Sarah felt a lump in her throat. "Do you want to contact her?" Daniel nodded slowly. "Please, if I die without telling her I'm sorry, I'll never be at peace." Sarah hesitated. It wasn't protocol. Nurses weren't supposed to get involved like that. But there was something in his eyes, something that told her this wasn't just another patient. So, against hospital policy, she decided to grant his final wish. Sarah searched through Daniel's personal file. No family listed, no next of kin, just an old emergency contact number, labeled Lily. She called it. No answer. She called again. This time, a tired voice picked up. "Hello." "Hi," Sarah said. "My name is Nurse Sarah Miller from St. Mary's Hospital. I'm calling about Daniel Brooks." The silence on the other end lasted so long, Sarah thought the call had dropped. Then the woman whispered, trembling, "He's alive?" Sarah's voice softened. "He's awake, but very weak. He wants to see you. It might be his last chance." Within hours, Lily was there, soaked from the rain, trembling as she walked through the hospital doors. When Lily entered the room, Daniel's eyes lit up, a single tear sliding down his cheek. He whispered, "You came?" She rushed to his bedside, holding his frail hand. "I never stopped waiting for you, Danny." For a moment, time stood still. The nurse stepped back quietly, giving them space. She watched in the doorway as Lily leaned over and kissed Daniel's forehead, whispering, "I forgive you." Daniel smiled, a peaceful, almost heavenly smile. And then his monitor flatlined. Sound, long, steady, flatline tone. Sarah froze. Doctors rushed in. But it was too late. Daniel Brooks was gone. Hours later, Sarah was helping the mortuary team prepare Daniel's body. Her hands trembled as she gently removed the bandages from his arm. That's when she saw it. A faint tattoo under his skin, hidden by scars. It wasn't just any tattoo. It was a name. And the name was Sarah. She stepped back, shocked, and no one had ever told her this man knew her. What does this mean?" she whispered to herself. Sarah couldn't sleep that night. The image of that tattoo haunted her. How did this dying soldier have her name inked into his arm? The next morning, she went back to the records department. She pulled his old military file, and what she discovered left her speechless. Daniel Brooks wasn't just any soldier. Years ago, when Sarah was in college, she worked as a volunteer medic during a city protest. That day, a young man had been shot in the chaos. She had stayed with him for hours, keeping pressure on the wound until help arrived. That man was Daniel. He had never forgotten the nurse who saved his life. After that day, he joined the Army, saying he wanted to be like the nurse with the brave heart. He didn't even know her last name. All he knew was her name was Sarah. He got it tattooed on his arm, a symbol of hope, a reminder that kindness still existed in the world. As Sarah held Daniel's belongings, she found a sealed envelope tucked inside his duffel bag. It was addressed to the nurse named Sarah, if fate ever brings you back. Her hand shook as she opened it. Inside was a letter, written in shaky handwriting. Voiceover switches to Daniel's voice, gentle, emotional male tone. Dear Sarah, you probably don't remember me. Years ago, you saved my life during a protest. I was just a stranger, but to me, you became my reason to live. Every time I faced death overseas, I thought of you, the nurse who risked everything for someone she didn't even know. If you're reading this, it means my time is over. But I want you to know, you didn't just save my body that day. You saved my soul. That I joined the army hoping to protect others the way you protected me. And I got this tattoo, your name, not as a memory, but as a promise, to live with the same courage you showed me. Thank you for being my angel before I even knew your last name. Sarah couldn't hold back the tears. She clutched the letter to her chest and whispered, You remembered. A week later, Daniel was laid to rest with full military honors. Rain poured as soldiers stood at attention, their uniforms soaked. Lily stood beside Sarah, holding the folded flag. After the ceremony, Lily turned to Sarah with trembling lips. Thank you for bringing me here. I wouldn't have known he was still alive. Sarah nodded, her eyes filled with tears. He never stopped loving you. Then Lily said something that took Sarah by surprise. He used to talk about you, too. Sarah blinked. Me? Yes. He always said there was a nurse who changed his life, someone named Sarah. He said if he ever met her again, he'd tell her thank you. At that moment, Sarah realized she had fulfilled two final wishes, one for the woman he loved and one for the stranger who once saved his life. Months passed. Sarah often visited the memorial garden outside the hospital. There, she planted a small white rose bush next to Daniel's nameplate. Every bloom reminded her of how small acts of kindness can ripple across a lifetime. One evening, she sat there as the sun set, whispering, Rest easy, soldier. Your promise lives on. The wind carried her words away, and for a moment, she swore she could hear his voice whisper back, Thank you, Sarah. Sometimes the people we help us in ways we'll never understand. Sarah thought she was granting a dying soldier's last wish. But in truth, she was closing a circle that began years before. A simple act of compassion had come full circle, and it all began with one brave nurse and one soldier's tattoo of hope. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to share it, because sometimes a small act of kindness can change a life forever. And who knows, maybe you are someone Sarah